Sammy Baugh is a football legend, but Slingin' Sammy came to the NFL as a lanky cowboy from Sweetwater, Texas, who grew up with little knowledge of the game.
Didn't know one thing about it. I didn't even know how many damn teams they had in pro football. We never heard anything about pro football in those days.
In 16 seasons with the Redskins, number 33 helped popularize the forward pass. He revolutionized the sport by proving the passing game could win a championship. The six-time NFL passing leader guided his teams to 5 divisional and 2 NFL titles. From 1946 to 1959, few did more to promote the sport of professional football than Commissioner Bert Bell.
We expect to have the greatest year and show the greatest football was ever known in the history of the world.
By turning visions into reality, Bell succeeded in transforming a fledgling football league into a national institution. Joe Carr was an Ohio sports writer who helped organize the NFL in 1920. He worked tirelessly in his role as NFL president. He issued official standings, settled disputes among teams, and brought stability to the game in its formative years.
The National Football League, in conjunction with General Mills Incorporated, has produced an entertaining and instructive picture that should appeal to every member of the family.
Joe Carr helped create the NFL as we know it today. Earl Dutch Clark was a model of the complete football player. A quiet man, Clark led by example, and in 1935, he led Detroit to the NFL championship. He was the last player to execute a lost art, the drop kick. Clark's versatility earned him a place in the first Hall of Fame class in 1963. Harold Red Grange was the first player to attract large crowds to pro football. And while his name helped sell the game, he admits it wasn't easy.
Senator McNally called George Halas and myself and invited us to go to the White House and meet President Coolidge. And I remember President Coolidge greeting us, and the senator introduced us as George Halas and Red Grange with the Chicago Bears. And I remember President Calvin Coolidge's remark. He said, "Young men, I'm glad to know you." He said, "I always like animal acts."
From his playing days to his coaching years, George Halas's influence spanned the NFL's first half-century. Affectionately known as Papa Bear, Halas coached Chicago to 6 NFL titles, and he is regarded as the founding father of pro football.
Just being a part of the growth of the National Football League, that to me is the greatest thrill or event in my life.
Mel Hein was a pro football Iron Man for 15 seasons at both center and linebacker for the Giants. A flawless snapper, powerful blocker, and superior pass defender, number 7 was named the NFL's most valuable player in 1938. Hein was still playing 60 minutes a game in his final season at the age of 36, and in 1963 was a charter enshrinee into the Hall of Fame. In an era when tackles played offense and defense, Wilbur Pete Henry was known to flatten one entire side of an opposing line with a single block. At 250 pounds, he was nicknamed Fats, but he was versatile enough to catch passes and drop-kick field goals. Henry led the Canton Bulldogs to 2 undefeated seasons in 1922 and 23. At 6'5" and 250 pounds, Cal Hubbard was one of the largest and most feared linemen of his time. As a rookie in 1927, he helped the New York Giants win their first NFL title. Hubbard later starred for the Packers when they captured the championship 3 seasons in a row. After football, Hubbard became a Major League umpire, and he was the first person to be enshrined in both sports halls of fame. When the Packers offered to pay receiver Don Hutson $175 a game, some people wondered if a rookie was worth that kind of money.
There was a fellow in Green Bay that had a radio network. This was before television. And this time he spent his entire 30-minute program telling what a lousy deal he made in signing Don Hutson. And on the first play, I caught a pass for 80 yards for a touchdown, and that was the last we heard about this guy on the radio for a while.
By the time he retired, Hutson held 18 NFL records, and his 99 career touchdowns stood as a record for 44 years.
I think Don Hutson's legacy is that he will always and should always remain the receiver to compare other receivers to. Because when he did what he did, no one else was even close.
In 1919, Earl Curly Lambeau formed a sandlot team in his hometown of Green Bay. He talked a local meatpacking company into putting up $500 for uniforms if he agreed to call his team the Packers. Lambeau retired as a player in 1929, but stayed on for another 20 years as head coach. He created a passing offense that revolutionized the game and helped the Packers win 6 world championships. Lambeau's legacy lives on at the hallowed grounds of Lambeau Field, which has borne his name since 1965. Tim Mara introduced pro football to the city of New York by paying $500 for the Giants franchise in 1925. His family has been involved in some of the game's most memorable moments. Tim Mara's legacy is carried over to the winning teams of the modern era. It is a legacy passed down from one generation to the next. George Preston Marshall acquired the NFL's Boston Braves in 1932. He moved the team to Washington in 1937 and renamed it the Redskins. He was a pioneer, staging halftime pageants and forming the first team band. It was Marshall who proposed splitting the league into 2 conferences with a season-ending championship game. At Marshall's funeral, Commissioner Pete Rozelle said, "We are all beneficiaries of what his dynamic personality helped shape over more than 3 decades." With a name borrowed from the silver screen, Johnny Blood McNally assumed many roles on the playing field, from quarterback to running back to punter and receiver. Johnny Blood was one of football's leading men in the 1920s and 30s. McNally had a well-deserved reputation as a playboy and a prankster, but he helped win 4 league championships with the Green Bay Packers. At 6'2", 225 pounds, Bronko Nagurski made quite an impact on the NFL. He was known for his bruising runs, but it was his arm that helped the Bears win the league's first official championship game.
Really was the beginning of the popularity of pro football.
Late in the season, he led them to a win over the crosstown rival Cardinals and a championship victory over Washington, adding to the legacy of great Chicago running backs. Ernie Nevers came to pro football with the nickname the one-man team. He ran, passed, kicked, and played defense. When he joined the Duluth Eskimos, he became one of pro football's biggest draws. He was such a celebrated figure, the team changed its name to the Ernie Nevers Eskimos. As a Chicago Cardinal, Nevers set a record by scoring 6 touchdowns in one game against the crosstown rival Bears. Jim Thorpe was named the greatest athlete of the first half of the 20th century. He excelled at many sports, but had his greatest impact on the football field. Coached by Pop Warner at Carlisle Indian School, he won a national collegiate championship before becoming the first big-name athlete to play pro football. His very presence helped legitimize the sport and paved the way for all who followed in his footsteps.